Hey, it's Ken Perry with the Knowledge Coop, and let me just tell you, there's been a giant storm recently. So for my Wednesday update, I want to address the storm.
There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne.
That has been happening ever since the big prospect case that we talked about last week in our Wednesday update. The resource.tv covered it. Our good friends over at the National Real Estate Post talked about it. Brian did a whole video on it. This whole thing that's gone on with Prospect has just shaken our industry. And so let me just give you a quick reminder. Prospect Mortgage had a settlement, as well as Keller Williams and RE/MAX offices had a settlement over this whole thing of kickbacks. And when you look at it, it was an MSA, it was lead sharing and that type of thing. Well, one of the biggest things that I've been dealing with in my own email inbox, in people who are Coop members, hit me up in the Coop, people on my Facebook page, what I've been getting a lot of questions on is this whole Zillow conversation. And I have been nothing but plain and simple on the Zillow front in saying that Zillow is a tool. And if you use that tool incorrectly, you can easily pay $10,000 per violation for using it incorrectly. The way that you would use it incorrectly is when you pay for your favorite real estate agent's advertising. And a lot of the response I've been getting is, well, can't we do 50-50? My answer is, it's just not that easy.
What is the function value or the Y value when X gets really close to 2 from the right?
Because what the CFPB looked at in the prospect case is they're going, all right, what's the relationship between loan officer and realtor? And if you look at how strict they're viewing these things, they don't want the relationship between the realtor and the loan officer. They want the loan officer getting the loan officer's business. They want the real estate agent getting real estate business. They don't want the loan officer participating in the marketing with real estate agents to be able to get those referrals or get that business from them. So here's what I wanted to do on my Wednesday update, and this is a Zillow challenge. It's a challenge to Zillow. I was in a conversation recently with a buddy of mine, and he's like, well, can you do Zillow legally? And I said, yeah, you totally can. You just have to do a lot of math and make sure you're doing it right. My challenge to Zillow is this. If Zillow wanted to be completely RESPA compliant, get as far away as possible from violations, here's all they would have to do. You sell advertising to loan officers, and the loan officer does not get to pick the real estate agent who they're partnering with. So when I go to Zillow, a real estate ad pops up, it's a loan officer, but there's no link between the LO and the real estate agent. That way, loan officers wouldn't be able to go, I want to buy Nathan's marketing and I want to partner with Nathan. And if I can't partner with a real estate agent, but I'm just straight up advertising, it's easier to do the math on what I should pay for that advertisement. And the CFPB can't see that as me and that real estate agent teaming up together, and therefore even the gray area is clean. If Zillow wants to do something that would be a blessing to the industry, it's eliminate the ability for people to do 90% of the real estate's marketing as a team and make it so that you don't even know who you're advertising with.
I don't know. I'm sorry, what's your name?
Cody.
Cody?
What's yours?
Noah?
Noah.
Noah?
Yeah.
At that point, it is true advertising that a loan originator is doing, and it's so much cleaner. Until then, do the math. Do not do anything your compliance officer says you can't do, and do the math to make sure you're not overpaying for a real estate agent's advertisements. Here's the math I'm talking about. When we're looking at whether or not you're offsetting the expenses of a real estate agent, we always look at, well, what are you paying for and what are they paying for? How much of the ad really belongs to the loan originator? The issue with the math is if we go 50-50, here we have a house that's being advertised, we have the real estate agent's number, everything is all there, and then there's this little square footage or square inchage on the page for the loan officer. Well, the first math you want to do is, what's that measurement as a percentage of the overall ad? And I'm guaranteeing you that measurement is not 50% of the total ad. So start doing the, measure that out. I'm not even being ridiculous. Measure that out. The second thing that I would do is look at my hit count. So how many hits am I getting? How many hits is the real estate agent getting? And what am I paying per hit? Then what I do is I compare my hit count to what I would get for the same exact experience on Facebook. So look at your Facebook advertising. X amount of impressions would get me how much? X amount of clicks would cost how much? Compare that impression count to the impression count on a Zillow to make sure you're not paying more than you should for that advertisement. Because here's the deal. If the value you're getting out of the ad is that the real estate agent loves you for being part of it and feels like you're partnering with them and they're more likely to refer you, you just did the math to find out you're in violation of RESPA. Hope that makes sense.
Well, I get it. It's very clever.
If it's basic advertising and it makes sense as an ad cost and an ad spend, only because you're getting the borrower not having anything to do with the real estate agent relationship, then you can feel a lot better about it. But when you're factoring in the referral, that's where it gets to be a huge problem. One quick thought on MSAs. I know it's really frustrating and it's really confusing because there are so many MSAs out there. How could they be illegal, right? And in fact, attorneys will still set them up for you because there's nothing in law that says MSAs are illegal. The CFPB has mentioned, in separate meetings that if they could pass a law, that would make them illegal. That would just be easier. But when questioned on MSAs and when people kind of push them, they'll usually give you a response that lets you see behind the curtain. Here's the response I got from one of the CFPB head folks in a meeting I was in when they were pushing him on MSAs. He said, what we have a problem with, which we said in the bulletin, was that they say all the right things, but you don't have to dig very deep to see that it is a sham and window dressing to create a structure for a disguised payment for a referral. The CFPB is not stupid, you guys. When they see something and they look into it, they go, you did that to have a better relationship where you would get more referrals from that real estate company. So be really careful with MSAs because even though they have not made them illegal, if the CFPB is against them and goes after them, you're just looking at a settlement at that point.